weak. So if it's more than that, it should be tested. And now, as you understand, with the serial RS-232 cable, you can only provide one instrument, the timestamp from the GPS. Okay, so unlike Juan.
Hi, good morning, sorry.
Hi. We are now speaking about the time synchronization, but generally this session is about the G4K advanced features. The time synchronization is one of the first topics we are speaking about, but it's okay. I have this session also recorded. So we said SMTP source, and now we are talking about GPS source. So the GPS source can provide approximately, it should be under 100 microseconds between the source to the destination, so between the GPS antenna to the device. Now the GPS antenna should have clear sky view. So you should place it on the roof or somewhere outside the antenna. And then the cable goes to the unit. As I explained, the cable, it should be fine if it's up to 20 meters. Over 20 meters, it should be tested and verified. Okay. Then we have some other sources less being used. The type of synchronization that mostly are used are the SMTP, the GPS, and the iRigB. The iRigB can be connected. You get the unit when you purchase it with a connector to the multi-IO. So if you will look at the unit on the digital input, connector, you also have two pins for iRigB. So you need to connect this connector to provide the signal. So again, you need multi-IO. So as you understand, without multi-IO, you can use the SMTP synchronization, but you cannot use the GPS or iRigB without having multi-IO card. So in case you have G4420, 30, or G4410 without multi-IO, you can only use the internal clock or SMTP. Okay, so you have an option to set automatic mode or SMTP only or GPS only. The automatic mode, if you set it in the web interface, I will show it. Actually, I can show it to you now. Let's take a look at this page. So as explained, we go to the time page. And here you have an option to set the transport to automatic, to GPS only, or SMTP only. The GPS only include the iRigB. If it's set to SMTP only or to automatic, you should configure the IP. This is the IP of the SMTP source. So it can be an SMTP server like Meinberg or equivalent. As I explained, in substation or in big sites, you should have a time source available, a time server available, SMTP time server. For example, here in LSpec, we have, I think it's IP is 100.100.100.55, but before I'm doing it, let's see. I will go to summary. Under summary, I see now the unit is using the self. There is no time synchronization. So now I go to time. Actually, I did not use this time server for a long time. I hope this is available, 100, 100, 105. And I will apply changes. Now it takes a few seconds. You will not see the indication immediately turn from self to main. But once it will recognize it, it will change to main. And as I explained, you have also a backup. So in case this one will not be available, it will use the second one. So far, it's good?
Good.
Okay. Let's see, maybe this get updated for the second one. Let me try something. As I told you, I did not use this one. Okay, should be available. You can see already
Yes.
main,
Yes.
but there is still no indication here, but you can see the main is now recognized. So it was self and now it is main. But here you should also see good, moderate, bad, excellence, and indication of the quality of the signal. And in this page, you can also see which source is being used. So this is how to configure the SMTP synchronization. As we said, now, if we have 4 or 5 units, we can configure all of those to the same time source, and then all our units will be synchronized over time. Any questions?
No.
Okay. When there is no time source, external time source, the unit will use the internal clock. So as you can see here in this diagram, you can see that it's continuously looking for the source, the one which is the best from those who are available. And if there is no time source, if there is no external time source, it will go to the internal clock. The internal clock provides 20 ppm. You know ppm?
No.
That's part per million.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, now if you will do the calculation, I made it before. That's the internal processor offer this. And even if you will take 24 hours, so over 24 hours, it might be maximum. Of course, it's not always 20 ppm. Let's say if we produce 5 units in our production site, some of them will offer 10 ppm, some 15, but we guarantee not more than 20 ppm. So the worst unit, which will be 20 ppm, will offer approximately 1.5 seconds time offset over 24 hours. Now, let's say you are using a GPS antenna and there is now a big storm and the skies are cloud and there is no signal. So let's say after 5 or 6 hours, the skies get clear. So the unit will capture the correct time. So let's say in 5 hours, you will have approximately 300 milliseconds offset. So after those 5 hours, it will correct to the correct time. This is for GPS. Of course, for SMTP, you do not consider sky view. Okay. There's the slow factor, which is usually I'm using some kind of board to explain it. But let's just say that between the pulses, between the time pulses, there might be a very, very, very tiny error between the pulses. So most instruments immediately jump to the correct time and creating by that tiny holes. But with the G4K, we have a slew fact. We have some kind of internal algorithm we implemented that it will increase or decrease the internal clock to correct and to capture this delay and not creating such holes. This is also something which is unique for Elspec. Okay. Now, next, as I explained, you can use the device itself, the G4K, as a time server. Okay, the device has an internal clock, or let's say can get an external GPS time. And as also explained, the GPS can provide time synchronization only for one unit because it's a serial RS232 cable. I'm not sure if there's such splitters or, but let's say, so you connect one unit, and this unit can be also used as the time server SNTP time source for the other units. However, as you know, the instrument is designed to be a power quality analyzer, recorder, and not to be a SNTP server. So we do not want it to influence the performance of the instrument, so we are limited. It is limited to providing a time source not more than 5 units. However, you can have much more instruments because the first layer you have 5, and then on the second layer you can have 25, and each one of those 25 can sync another 5, so it's 125. So basically you can synchronize all of your units from one, let's say, mother unit or father unit. But in this case, just remember that we said below 100 microsecond, but this is for the first layer. The second layer, it will be 200 microsecond, and then 300 microseconds, and so on. So the synchronization to the source, to the end, to the last level might be much more than 100 microseconds. Okay, is this clear?
Okay.
Here you can see what I was speaking about. First unit connected by GPS antenna, then synchronize another 5 units, and each one of the 5 units can synchronize another 5 units. Of course, if you have a SMTP server, so probably it can serve many units directly. So two options, two architecture for synchronizing your network. Questions?
No.
No, it's clear.
Okay, good. Okay. I believe this is very similar. Okay, so how can we do the synchronization? We go to the time page of the web interface, we select automatic, then it will select the one available, the better one, the GPS or SMTPs. If you select SMTP, then you just type the IP of the source. You can use main or alternate. As I also explained on the main page, you can see not just the source, but also the quality of the source. I don't remember by that, but we have a table that excellence means plus minus how many micro, good how many micro, moderate, and then if it's bad, it can be also milliseconds and not microseconds. I have this table. I can, if you need, I can provide. Then if you use GPS, for the GPS, you should note a difference between fixed and between portable. There is a different cable that this is related to pins in the RS232 that use power supply, and the portable provide this power supply, but the fixed not. So if you're using the fixed, the G4410, 20, 30, you should use the antenna. You should also use a power supply, and the connection will be to the RS232 and additional this is how the cable look, additional connection to the digital in port. Okay, so you have a special cable for the fix, while for the portable, it's a standard RS232 cable. Okay?
Okay.
And this is how you, okay, for GPS, you just select GPS only. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Now, this is an old presentation, so it talks about the old investigator. In case you, after recording, you found that there is there is not a good time synchronization between the units, you can still shift the component database by time. So you can correct such an issue. Now, you do not mind about the old investigator, but I can show it to you on the PQ SCADA Sapphire. So let's take something which is more clear. Let's take this. And let's say you would like to shift the database by 150 milliseconds. Okay, so let's do it by 2 seconds so you will see it more properly. So you will go to System, you will select the component, you will go to Query Settings, and you will shift, you enable shift backward by that's nanosecond, that's microseconds, and this is milliseconds, and this is seconds, minutes, hours, and days. So let's do it by 3 seconds. I will do save. I will go back to investigation. I will refresh this. And I didn't see, did you see? What was the time? Ah, this is minutes. Okay. Will be difficult to see. So let's move it by 2 minutes. So this is in case you made a recording and you found that you made a recording with 2 or 3 instruments and the event should be at the same time, and you see that one of those showing it in a different time. I will refresh, and you see now it's approximately a few minutes before. Okay?
Okay, Tomer, if I need to go back.
To go back this?
Yes.
Okay, just note that I didn't make any recalculation. So this is on the road, on the click. So if you go here and you put it back to 0, then it will be the original data.
Ah, okay, okay.
So it's not really changing the database. It's just being done on the response that you are doing when you do the click.
Perfect.
So it's done every time by the client and not, but it's not in the SQL. Okay, let's close this and let's go back here. And now this is important. Before I gave you an example of a customer that are reporting an issues about the red LED on the instrument, what we discussed about this notification. We said it's not an error, this is just a notification, and it's possible also to understand which one is triggering the red LED. We talked about this. Another thing, from time to time, you can get a question from customers. And from now on, every time I will talk about a popular complaint by customers, I will let you know that this is a popular or repeating complaint. So this is about the time. Here is where you configure the time. Okay? Sometimes customers say that they cannot change the time because they're reconfiguring and they try to use the apply changes. But no, for this box, you use the set date and time. So I can change the date and time of this unit. And accordingly, you will see the device timestamp below. Now, you need to understand that this is the web interface time, which is not necessarily the time indication or stamp or the timestamp on the PQ zip file. Okay, so if I'm now making a recording, the PQ zip file name or timestamp, the file name include the 6 digits of the, have I talked with you guys about this?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Okay, so the PQZip file, you have 6 digits of the serial number, and then you have the time
Data.
stamp, and the last one is the number of seconds. So this is 5 minutes file, and this is 5 minutes and 5 minutes, and this is, I believe, this is, I think, 150 minutes or something like that. So the timestamp will not be the local time, but it will be the GMT 0 time. So if we see here now, this is 1552, the timestamp would be 1352, okay? The PQZip file name will include 13, 52, 58, and milliseconds, etc. Okay?
Okay.
So sometimes customer ask about it. However, this should not be a matter of the customer. The customer should not worry about it. In most cases, customers are not even aware to that because the customers see 2 times. They see the web interface time and they see the time on the PQ SCADA Sapphire. Okay. Now, in case your client settings is set to auto culture, it will use the lower right corner of your screen, the Windows time, the operating system time. Now, in my case, the unit time and the operating system time should be the same. Actually, not. You see, this is in winter clock in Israel, and we changed to summer clock. So you see, 1552, if I will refresh, it will be 1556, which was the correct time last month. But now this is 1656, okay? So in case I will send those PQ zip files with a timestamp of 1356 to my colleague in America, he will open it in his Sapphire, in his PQ SCADA Sapphire, which also use autoculture. He will see it in the local time, in his local time, okay? So in most cases, the web interface time and the Sapphire time will be the same. But this is not 100% of the cases. For example, our agent in Spain last month wrote me, he got some files from Mexico and he wanted to see it in the local time of Mexico. So I just told him you can either change your Windows time, but you can also go to client settings and set a custom culture. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I don't want to make you too confused, so I will not continue to talk about it, but I think it is clear, right?
All right.
We have 3 times: the time of the web interface, which usually is the time, the local time where the meter is installed. Then we have the time of the Sapphire, which is the the time where the server is located. And in between, we have the PQZip timestamp. The customer should not even know about it, but this includes the GMT 0 time. Okay, let's move on. This we talked about. Security, you can change the username and password for a web access and for FTP access. Okay, and you can also reset back to default. Okay. With the G4K, okay, this is some things you should know. Maybe customers will ask you about the security of the systems. So with the G5 DFR and with the Pure, we also offer SFTP, secured FTP, HTTPS, FTPS. Of course, you know, we already discussed about the PQ SCADA that you can set different users with different, the admin of the system can set different privileges for different components, for different servers. There's a lot of, there's also a username and password for the telnet access. I can send you all of the default username and passwords that you will need. I just send me an email about it and I will send it to you. Any questions? Anything maybe you experienced that customer is asking about how secure are the systems? Anything you need to know?
No.
Okay, this usually is maybe a part of tenders. If you see tenders, you know, today is very important, these kind of things. You probably heard about all the hacking and all the, I even heard a nice podcast about this, about breaking into some facilities, utility facilities in Australia about this. I think it was some company for wind farms. Actually, Elon, I think now there was some hacking some month ago in Israel to the water systems. So, you know, this kind of things is very important. In New York City area, do you remember a few years ago? There was all of New York area. There was an issue with the electricity. You remember that?
I just know it from movies.
Okay, in Turkey, there was some years ago also an issue there. These kind of things might happen more and more, and of course, as the instruments and the infrastructure, and of course the products will be more. Sometimes the infrastructure of the site will be great, but analyzer that sit over there, and that might be the weak point, you know. Okay. Let's go next. Network. So here you can set the IP of LAN 1, the IP of LAN 2 to set it to be enable DHCP, disable DHCP, etc. What's going on? Okay, enable, disable, you can do all of the settings also for the Modbus. This is specifically, I think, for DNP, which is not too often used. So DNP settings, Modbus settings. Here you can see how many active connections there are. FTP, for example, a component in PQ-SCADA means that you have an FTP session open. Okay. Then you have the serial ports, and now something that we should focus on, which is the power quality compliance. Power quality compliance, let's say, Elon, you are doing sales. Juan, you are doing sales or more technically? Okay, because a compliance is a very basic requirement from the customers. So you will get this kind of requirements. The compliance in Europe is the EN 5116 in most Europe, but in Hungary is a little bit different. In Norway is a little bit different. In Colombia, there is also, I believe, a compliance. It might be called the distribution grid code. But the compliance is basically the agreement between the provider, the utility, which is in this case the distribution. Actually, it can be, there is an agreement between the generation to the transmission, then between the transmission to the distribution, and then between the distribution to the big industrial sites. So as you know, for power factor, for example, they might get some fines. Okay, so power factor is more about the load, is more about this, but the compliance is more about the the standard supply from the utility and how it's being used by the customer by not injecting back harmonics, for example, to the grid, not polluting the grid. So for that purpose, there is a compliance, which is a set of rules, and we have a set of chapters, for example, the frequency chapter, the harmonic chapter, the flicker chapter. Each compliance has a different rules for those chapters, or it might be a little bit different, but the concept is pretty much the same. This is a big topic that we implemented in our products and also in the software. So we already discussed about the software, about how to do the reports. You remember how to do it manually, automatically. This is less relevant for the compliance itself. But we already discussed about the chapters in the compliance. However, here on the unit, you can set the unit with a set of rules. Each one of those compliances include a different set of rules. Now, under this page, you will find user-defined page 1, user-defined page 2, and user-defined page 3. Each one of those includes different chapters with the settings. And now we are looking at the settings of EN5160. So for Flickr event, enable check only if the measured voltage is within nominal plus minus 15%. Okay.
Okay.
You have a threshold of plus minus 1%, and it needs to be, the frequency must be valid for at least 95% of the time. Okay. And then you have a not so tight, less tight requirement, and here it needs to be comply 100% of the time. Okay, so it still can up to 5% of the time of the week. In this case, it's a week, so 7 days. It can be a little bit below plus minus 1%, but not more than 5% of the time. The parameter we speak about, it's not enough to say frequency, but this is a frequency 10 seconds, okay? It's a readings of frequency 10 seconds, so it's making an aggregation, okay? And you have one value per 10 seconds, and the observation window is 1 week. Okay, then you can set to ignore flagged intervals due to deep swells and do not generate events in case there is a dip or swell. Also for interruptions. The conditions are clear?
Yes.
Okay, because I do not want to go over all of the conditions, but here we have also the conditions for dips. So a dip will be triggered if a drop more than 10%. And we talked, I think, in one of the previous sessions about hysteresis, etc. Maybe this I will explain. UDIN and USR. UDIN is the configured nominal, and USR is the measured nominal. Okay, so it's a measure over the last, some kind of average of the last readings. I don't remember how many. I think the last 3 readings. So the UDIN is the U nominal. It can be 400 volt or 230 volt, while the USR will be 229.3, for example. Then we have short interruptions, long interruption, temporary over voltage. Then we have user-defined page 2, where you can find the settings for voltage variations, rapid voltage change, unbalance, and flicker. And then user-defined page 3, where you can find all the harmonics information. For example, according EN5160, I will have an event on the 7th harmonic in case this harmonic will be measured as more than 5%. Okay? I will have a event for the 12th harmonic in case this one will be more than 0.5%. Now, you know, with G4430, we offer 512 harmonics. But for the compliance, it only required 40 or 50, depends on the compliance, but this is what is being requested. Now, what will happen if I will change to trigger a 7th harmonic event with 4.5%, okay? And not 5%. I will apply. What do you think will happen now? Any idea? If I will go to power compliance, will I still see the EN5160?
I
No.
think you will see maybe a remark or something.
Yes, so now it's not the EN5160. I didn't change it, I just changed a value and automatically it's changed to be user-defined.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Now, if you will see here the 4.5%, if I will set it back to 5%, then it will turn to be from user-defined to EN5160. Let's do it the opposite. I will change this to EN5160, apply changes, and now I will go again to the user-defined page 3. And you will see it's back to 5%. So basically, each one of those is a template. That behind this, there is an XML file, which is the configuration file of the unit. So, or the specific block, there is in the XML file of that is the configuration of the unit. It includes everything. But if you take only the block of the power quality compliance, this paragraph in the XML, so there is a different paragraph or block of rules or values for this one, and 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 for this one. So you can set your own rules, cut the part of configuration defining, let's say, Atlantic Ocean island, some kind compliance, and then you can apply this configuration to another 100 units. So any customer can configure his set of rules and then just apply it to other units and not repeating it many times. Okay. By the way, in page number 3, you also have the settings for THD. Okay, so it needs to comply 95% of the week, and not more than 8%. This is a 10 minutes readings. Okay, any questions about the compliance?
No.
Okay, just remember the difference. The PQ-SCADA generate a report. Okay?
Okay.
And here the settings are only about this result, the log, okay? The event log, the system log. So if I will go, not to system, but to measurement. So I will see event log number 239 is unbalanced, okay? Event number 236 is interruption. And you can see here the phase, wire 1, 2, 3, topology. And then you go and you see, oh, wow, I guess this unit I took from R&D, I guess they made some testings. Usually the common one is the dip, or let's go to, okay, 245, we see a long interruption. Then we can see over voltage. Okay, so you can see the severity, you can see the value. Okay, so yeah, you can open a graph, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can ask for other parameters. You can see what's happening in all phases. Yeah, so that's what the investigation module in the PQ-SCADA. Now those logs will be also stored into the PQ-zip file with this file, with this timestamp. Remember what we discussed about the calculation of the PQ-SCADA. The PQ-SCADA will recalculate it from the waveform. So due to compression, the the value here and the start time and the end time can be very, very, very slightly different than what you will see in the PicoSCADA. That depends of how good is the compression or the quality of the recorded data. But if you would like to be more accurate, you should or find exactly the value or the duration, you should use the unit log and not the PicoSCADA recalculate data that you see in the graph. Okay, I have another, actually I made a webinar about this topic. If you would like, I will share with you. This was a very good one. And that if customers sometimes ask about this, I can share it. And there's a very good explanation over there about this topic. Okay, any questions about compliance?
No.
Okay, so let's move, let's continue. So the system log, you already see the system log. You can filter it by 4 topics: initialize, system, user, which is the custom events, and measurement, which is, for example, the compliance. You can see maximum 100 logs. So the page size, you can set maximum 100, and you switch by start at 0, then start at 100, then start at 200. You can erase the log, you can refresh the log. Then we have, let's leave the custom events for later. PQZip recording, we also discussed about, just again, because it's very, very important. Those 2 leakages, I remind you again, in most cases, customers do not need it. And those 2 channels consume much resources, storage and CPU. So if there is 1024 samples, it will do 1024 calculations in a cycle, and will store those 1024 readings of 2 bytes each. It takes a lot of, so always verify this is disabled. Email alerts, you can set an email, but it's limited for only 1 email address, which should be encrypted and authenticated, so you cannot use Gmail or similar. In order to do that, you need to not just to put the to what address to send, but you also need to configure the email server, and this can be done only by telnet. So you need to access the instrument by telnet, PuTTY or similar, and to type a command with the from. The from, where it's sent from, and then it can be notify some events. Then we have the reports. You can use this checkbox, but just note that using this will create on the compact flash of the unit another folder. The folder name will be report. And every day or every week or every 1 month, there will be an Excel file stored into this folder or CSV. Now, this folder does not use first in, first out. This is not a common problem, but I see it sometimes before, and let's say it's more important for customers who use G3500 or G4410. You know, G4410 has only 128 megabyte. Our agent in South Africa last year reported that his G4410 cannot record days. It can record only 1 or 2 hours. And I connected by remote session, and in his compact flash, I found a report folder full with many, many, many Excels. And you know, when you have 128 megabyte and there is no FIFO in this, so it's consuming the storage and not allowing the PQZip folder to have enough storage. So this will, so for G4410 and G3500, I totally recommend not to use this feature. Only if customers really need it, G4430 or G4500, and just to make sure every, let's say, 1 or 2 months, maybe to take those Excels and to shift it to an external storage or something like that. Then we have the energy meter. Okay, that's the blocks that are saved for energy into the PQZ file. So every 1 minute you will have the consumption in this 1 minute. And you can enable or disable the sliding window. Now, the sliding window, the concept means is that, for example, if I will take 15 minutes, we'll still have a sliding window of refreshing every 1 minute. So it means that in 9 o'clock until 9:15, then 9 o'clock and 1 minute until 1 o'clock and 16 minutes, then 9 and 2 minutes until 9 and 17 minutes, and so on. This is the sliding window concept. Customers, I had an issue in Peru. Our agent reported that he cannot get in PQSCADA readings or exporting energy 15 minutes. Now, when we looked at the setting of the device, it was set to 30 minutes. Okay, so it was saved in 30 minutes blocks. So of course, after that in PQSCADA, it cannot export in 15 minutes. Okay, display setup. That's pretty clear, I guess. You can change the phase format, power factor unit, temperature, Celsius or Fahrenheit, then table data accuracy. It means that if you have 50 hertz 0.232 millihertz, so now you will have microhertz. You will have 5 digits after the point. Just remember the hardware cannot support and be so accurate, so I will not much count on the 5th digit after the point, but still it's available. And we have the firmware upgrade. A firmware upgrade is also available by FTP and by PQSCADA task, but you can also do it from the web interface. Just the latest version is available in our website. Download it to your server. Then just browse, let's say in download, you go to download and you browse for this version. And then you click on upload local firmware image. Okay. For the web interface, the extension, it should be end with .bin, and if you do it by by FTP, it should be .fw. Note the difference. This is the... Okay, questions?
No, no.
No. It should only change, it should not erase any data from the compact version, from the PQZip data folder. It should only upgrade the firmware itself. After, when it finishes, that should take approximately 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Of course, you will have a hole in the recording. So if this unit is in production, you should schedule for the time to do this upload because there will be a hole. So if customer need the continuous data, so you should wait for the proper time. And the reboot will be done at the end of the process. It will be reboot. Also, the configuration should be, it should keep store the configuration. Okay. Okay, just one thing I left before, and this is the custom events. In this page, you can, we talked about compliance events, but compliance events are limited to voltage, to harmonics. You cannot do aggregation of AND, XOR, NOR between. You cannot use temperature. You cannot even use current or current harmonic. So for that, you have the custom events. The instrument, both the portable and the fixed, by the way, firmware is the same for portable and fixed. So the instrument provides you the possibility to configure up to 32 custom events. In log, it will be 201, 202, 203, up to 232. Okay? You can edit the condition by selecting the parameter it will be based on. So remember, you also you also have power factor. You have not just the compliance parameter, which are based on the standard low resolution, relatively low resolution aggregation, but here you have also cycle by cycle. You have analog input, you have digital input, you have temperature, okay? So for example, you can take harmonic also for a current, phase number 2, harmonic number 7. I can also make single or multiple event. Then I can compare to parameter, but not just, you can also set for value delta. So so this is like a rate of change, the I to the T or the V to the T. Internal average. So user value, okay? For example, if the harmonic is more than 2.5%, then the operation, not necessarily a percentage. Then you can set the deactivation. Okay, you can also select here more, and then you can also change more settings to set and or if you have a second operation here, or from multiple. So this is for example, you can make here if the power factor is below 0.85 and the temperature is above 70, then it will make you an event. The event will be logged into the system log as event 201. And I will now go to the next thing, and a digital out or relay will be triggered to notify you physically about the occurrence of this event. And how you do it, let's say we set for event 201. Or also, by the way, the relay or digital out can be also based on a standard event like the DIP 236 or 240 or etc. So you go to, and I'm just showing this as example, but this also can be for digital out. Okay. So digital out relay, both, because in is measured, is not triggered. I can set it disable or manual to toggle between 1 and 0, or automatic. And when I set automatic, I can set it energy, events, and alarms. What we talk about now is events. So, okay, I didn't save the event I created on custom event, but the power quality is also fine, which is 233 is for voltage frequency. Or if you remember variation, 234, unbalanced, 239, interruption we see before, or long interruption. Okay, so those are the events that are shown, indicated in the log. I can set it to be triggered on begin only, at the end only, or both begin and end. And I can select the signal type. Goes from 0 to 1 and back to 0. Go from 1 to 0 and back to 1. Or KYZ. KYZ is change of state. So when we have the event, it will change, let's say, from 0 to 1. And just after 2 days, there's another time event. It will change from 1 to 0. So it's not goes back to the initial state, just change with any occurrence of the event. Okay?
Okay.
As we discussed on the first session, you have 8 digital in, 4 digital out, 4 analog in, 4 analog out, and 3 relays. If you're using 2 multi-IO cards, you will have double 16 digital in. 8 digital out, 8 analog in, 8 analog out, and 6 relays. We also have a few customers who use 3 multi-IO cards, but this is less recommended since it can affect the performance of the main tasks this instrument is designed to, which is the power quality monitoring and recording. Okay, so today we talked about the G4K. At the first session, more than a month ago, we talked about the basic stuff, how to set it up for configure it for recording. And today we talked a little bit more about more advanced features. We finished with the G4K. We finished with the Sapphire. Sapphire took pretty much time of sessions. And on the next session or two, we will discuss the DFR and the Pure. The Pure should not take much time. Do you have any? Yes, please. I'm not sure I understand. Those are the logs of the device you are talking about? The logs of the device are available. The logs of the device are available on the instrument itself. I think you can have thousands of events here. Also, you have it by telnet. And let's see, 5,000 events. You see, still you have maybe even, let's go 7,000. And this is pretty recently. That's strange. But this is a unit from testing. Let's go back 10,000. But also, all of those events are recorded also and stored into the PQ zip file. Maybe just one note. You see this entry? This is a deleted and it's not corrupted. The correct term is deleted log. But you have many, and it's also in the device in the PQZip file. So you should not worry about erasing the logs. Only if manually you are erasing all the logs. A firmware upgrade or a restart should not do anything to the logs. No, you go here. I would recommend you to uncheck the user, uncheck the system, and uncheck the init. Just leave the measurement. Then you will get all the standard compliance events. And also you can do it maybe better from the PQ-SCADA. Just by going to the investigation and opening a component with event. Let's take it. Just ask for events and click on, only on power quality. For the dips, over voltages, unbalanced flicker, etc. You do not mind, you say about the system, about time synchronization, power off, power on. So those are not needed. So just select the power quality. And if you would like to make a investigation, you can click here and open an investigation for that. Any other question?
No.
Okay. 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 Sorry? I'm not sure if exactly for the reason for this one, but this is logged as a transient. Looks like the waveform goes all the way to 0. This is just randomly I open. It can definitely be investigated for the reason for that, but we can do it. Some investigation of events. Yeah, actually, the time, Juan, I did not told you about that. In Israel and I believe also in Portugal, the time was shifted from winter to summer. So we connected as usual. For me, it was 3 o'clock. And you did not join we checked and it was 7 a.m. for you. So yeah, but I understand why you had this mistake, because in the email I wrote the same time, and for you the same time means 8 o'clock, and for us it's 4 o'clock. No, it's totally okay, because I also, it's my mistake that I write same time. But I think we can do the next session also on Monday. As I understand, it will be 4 o'clock, because 7 a.m. is you are not in the office in 7, or? For us, it's okay also to do in 4. It's up to you. What do you prefer? Yeah, or maybe in the middle, 7:30. Okay.
Perfect.
Paulo, Elon, next week, Monday, 7:30. Sorry. For me, it's 3:30. I'm not sure. Paulo, for you is maybe.
Well,
it's maybe 2:30, right?
Okay.
Any
Okay,
chance for
perfect.
Tuesday
So
or Wednesday? No.
Monday.
Sorry.
Any
Monday,
chance for
yes.
Tuesday? No, I don't.
Yeah, we can do it. You prefer Tuesday?
Yes, Tuesday or Wednesday, because apparently I will just, I will be in the office, but I don't know. I don't know how this flight will go these days.
What day is the flight? Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or?
Sunday. If not tomorrow, if not Wednesday, it will be Sunday.
Okay, so we can do it, guys. Tuesday is okay?
Okay.
Okay, so next Tuesday, it's for me it's 3:30. For you, Juan, is 7:30, and in Portugal, I guess this is 2:30.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, guys. So thank you very much for today. This is recorded, by the way, the session. So Juan, if you would like to see the beginning, though you pretty much you joined, you did not miss much. But if you want, I have it. Okay, guys. Okay, so we'll see you again next week.
Okay. Goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.